Gabby Cabby. I hope everyone's doing all right. I'm cutting it a bit fine tonight, aren't I? I was just walking out to my car and a taxi driver come and fleeced my wallet for some of my loose change to the tune of £100. Well, it wasn't really fleecing, it was something I owed him, so he just come and called it in just as I was coming out here. Of all times he has to pick, it has to be 8:10 when I'm coming out to do a live stream. Doesn't he know his place? Doesn't he know that I do this? No, I don't think he does, actually. I'll have to tell him. Anyway, hello to everybody. And let's have a quick look through, see who we've got, and then we'll get on with proceedings. I must admit, I am tempted to go off on one this evening, considering a couple of news articles I read earlier about certain people taking the piss. Bloodnose, hello to you. Alan Pape, you're in the chat. Good to see you as well. Julie Keys. Bridget's here. Good to see you. Tanner Family Memories. Cosmic Wartoad. A lot of my regulars still. That's all great. Jerry Georgopoulos, hello to you. Yeah, we're all here, aren't we? That's it. We're dubbed as Andy's Army, and for very good reason. Hello, Julie Baldwin. Good to see you. Who else have we got? Did I see my mother in here somewhere? Mum. Dave is here. Good to see you. That's cool. Julie Keys, we've said hello to you. Yeah, there she is. There's my mum. Hello, mum. Good to see you in the chat as per usual. Lorna McKenzie, hello to you. Hope you're well. I think that's everybody. Oh, hang on. Trevor's here from Norwich. Good to see you. Neats. I just want to make sure I get everyone so you feel included in Andy's Army. Jenny Williams, good to see you. And I think for now that's everybody. Well, welcome everybody, as I said, to the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. And I want to start off by asking everybody a serious question. And that's very simple. Are you struggling to make ends meet right now? If you don't want to answer this, then don't answer it. But if you're struggling, can you put a 1 in the chat? And if you're not struggling, put a 2 in the chat. I want to see what the cross thing is, and then I'll tell you why I'm a bit cranky this evening. Got a lot of 2s, which is good. 1. So there's 3 or 4 of you that are finding things a struggle at the moment, but in the main, you seem to be okay, which is good for our little group. Anthony, Trevor, some more ones had to draw me belt in. Yeah, what's the cut your cloth according to your something or other? I can never remember how that saying goes. I'm not struggling yet, but here do you believe that one of our main issues in the household at the moment is gas and electricity? You know, give me a 1 if you think it is, or a 2 if you don't. And that's an interesting thing as well. I mean, I have my own theories about gas and electricity. As you know, I am living with debt. Alan says, yeah, a lot of people get it, don't they? Not struggling now, but fear I will next week. So there's definitely a mixed bag out there, really. Hello, Christine Ayres. Hope you're all right. What's all this then? PC Plod here. I'm arresting you on suspicion of talking the truth. You do not have to say anything, as we will take your silence as guilt. I like it. Nice one. Well, let's get to the point, shall we? Before somebody says, Andy, get to the point. Let me show you a picture. Where are we? Let's get the right one. You all know who this dickhead is. I'm sure you do. Mr. Michael of the Gove. They usually roll him out when they want to make the government look as silly as possible. It's a bit like Diane Abacus with the other side of the bench. They do the same there. I read what he had to say earlier, and I think it's taking the piss to the nth degree, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at this. Michael Gove does silly voices in bizarre interview over the cost of living crisis. Michael Gove left some baffled and others fuming this morning when he used bizarre voice impressions to discuss the government's response to the dire cost of living. There's the word, dire. People need help, Mr. Gove, not your dodgy accents. A bit like mine when I talk about, like, when I'm doing the West Country, you know. Come off it, let's be serious. The community secretary was slammed for doing silly voices as he adopted an American and Scouse accents while shooting down the prospect of an emergency budget for families facing crippling energy bills. We don't need an emergency budget. We need the prices to come down, or somebody needs to do something to help these families that are struggling. I have a suspicion where this is going, and I will tell you when we've gone through this article. Speculation was rife that one could soon be announced after Boris Johnson's response to Keir Starmer's claim the government is bereft of ideas. Is that before or after his last pint, I wonder? We will continue to use all our ingenuity and compassion, I didn't know they had any, for as long as it takes, and the Chancellor and I will be saying more about this in the days to come. I bet you fucking will. He said in the House of Commons following the Queen's speech. But the Treasury ruled out a last-minute summer budget immediately after the remark. Speaking this morning, Mr. Gove insisted Mr. Johnson's words had been overinterpreted and added that the government will be saying more and doing more to help people. We're not being funny, folks. This bloody Queen's speech, I did not see one iota of a thread of anything in there that's going to help anybody with anything. Many viewers weren't left assured, with many enraged by his bad comedy sketch in which he told people to calm down. Who are you telling to calm down, you overeducated rich twerp? He said the Prime Minister was making the point clearly. We just had a cabinet meeting to discuss it, that we are constantly looking at ideas to relieve the pressure on people facing incredibly tough times. Well, as my late stepfather was often fond of saying, Mr. Gove, talk is cheap. And the end of that is actions speak louder than words instead of these dodgy accents. But that doesn't amount to an emergency budget, he added, putting dramatic emphasis on the last two words. That doesn't amount to an emergency budget, or doesn't amount to an emergency budget if he's doing the dodgy accents, which is what some people immediately thought it did. He went on to use an American accent as he claimed it was an example of some commentators chasing their own tails and trying to take a statement that is commonsensical, turning it into, capital letters, a big news story. He went on to use an American accent as he claimed it was an example of some commentators chasing their own tails and trying to take a statement that's commonsensical, turning it into a capital letters, a big news story. Well, I don't give a damn. How was that? In a third odd move, he decided to throw in a Liverpudlian accent, saying the Treasury had quite rightly told people to calm down. Sorry, I can't do Liverpool, so you're out of that. Comedian Harry Enfield's Scousers characters were known for the phrase in his comedy shows in the 1990s, calm down. Yes, okay, Govey, you... Blah. In fact, when the Treasury quite rightly said calm down people, instead of recognising that they are overinflating the story in the first place and say, oh, this is clearly a spit, Mr. Gove complained. The truth is the Prime Minister says the government is working hard, and the Treasury says we are, and I'm afraid the budget is going to be when said it would be. Please get things in proportion. That becomes a story. When presenter Dan Walker suggested the media has simply asked a follow-up question after the PM implied something was to be announced, Mr. Gove replied, yeah, exactly. No big deal. I'll tell you what a big deal is. Labour's Lisa Nandy tweeted a clip of him speaking on the programme and said, what is he doing? Making jokes and using silly voices while families across the country are struggling. This isn't a game. People are having to choose between heating and eating. Take it seriously. Do your job. What accent would you like that in? Would you like it in New York? You know, Labour's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, used the interview to accuse ministers of treating the cost of living crisis like a joke, adding, "This is not a serious government. We need an emergency budget now." No, we fucking don't. Meanwhile, people on social media rejected claims that the voices were a bit of fun, naming the interview completely unhinged. I never saw it, but that's what I would call it. The government came under fire yesterday when it failed to announce immediate new measures to help working families. A report this morning warned families face being left around £100 a month short of what they need to cover their spending as prices are rising faster than income. It's the same old, isn't it? Now, what I think is going on here, I smell a setup immediately. Really, they don't give two shits, or this is all pre-planned. Now, I remember a situation many years ago where the Tories began to make a big cock up of the whole thing, and this kind of information was ending up in the press very often. And lo and behold, not short after that, we ended up with a Labour government, and we know what happened next after that. Now, I think this is political power play going on. Now, the other thing as well, we all know the NWO things and everything else, and what's in the pipeline. Speaking of that, just diverting a minute, I did see earlier that people suffering from hay fever, as they do at this time of year, might have a little bit of difficulty getting the usual help they need. And that's on the list of things to look out for. But going back to this electricity and gas thing and the general cost of living, if I go out and earn £1,000 a week, you have to as a taxi driver, really, but let's say normal home gets a couple of grand in every month if you're working, and your outgoings are 2,200, 2,300. You're going to be in a deficit all the time, and you're going to be, people everywhere are just not going to be able to afford to live. So then what does the government actually do to eventually assist with this situation? Yes, a universal solution may be in the pipeline to deal with this. That's where I think this is going. We've heard and read lots of stories about the potential of the next couple of years all over the place, and I've read many of them, and I'm wondering whether this is the... Yeah, you've got it right, Chrissy Williams. I'm wondering whether this is the start of it. People are struggling so much. Oh, yeah. Here's a few quid, get your bills paid, on the condition that you behave and you do what we tell you to do. Voila, hey presto, there it is. That's where I think all this is going. I may be proved right, I may be proved wrong, but I was trying to work it out in my own head before I came out here. And when I saw that thing about hay fever, something just suddenly went ding in my head. And I remember a list that somebody sent me of things to look out for, basically about all of us being royally shafted. And the whole horrible thing is we're all allowing it to happen right under our noses. It's incredible. This is the Daily Chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, everybody. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hope you are all well. If you haven't done so already and you've just joined the live stream, please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. I'm going to watch a few of those go up while I open my latest can of aspartame-filled nonsense. If you're a new viewer to the channel as well, we didn't get any content out today, unfortunately. It's been one of them. Please consider hitting the subscribe button as well. That'd be wonderful. And yeah, we have other things as well. We have channel memberships. They're basically £1 a month, no commitments at all. We've had a few signed up over the last few days, including, excuse me, some long-term viewers of the channel. So welcome to you guys, and thank you very much for your support. That's wonderful. So I'm going to go through the chat just briefly, and then let's see what people have had to say about that little one. Yeah, I know, Belfast Mickey. I've actually put myself on a diet at the moment, big time, and I'm drinking 2 litres of water every day, so I'm drinking a lot more than a can of Coke. Jerry, yes, my vehicle is going in the morning. I'm going to limp it down there and leave it to get done. Hopefully it'll be back in all its glory come Saturday. So the next couple of lives will probably be from the confines of the Mercedes like they used to be. Yeah, honesty and truth, you agree with what I was trying to intimate at. Begins with you and ends with I and has the word basic in the middle. That's good then. Do you have proof you notified them? You were welcome. It took my friend 5 years before the GRS and after to start feeling fully transitioned. Andy, have you been busy today? I've been busy. We've got a hell of a big workload coming up with the airport business, and I have 3 drivers at my disposal, and I literally treat it like a sieve. I chuck it in the top where the top driver is. It takes the most work, and when they've had their fill, the next one and the next one, and it's really been a day of organisation, really. But it's all good. The calendar's looking very busy. Yeah, Cosmic War Toad, they certainly do look after their own. Chrissy Williams, you've got the initials correct. That's exactly what I was getting at. Shortage of everything except, of course, if you're a 1% elite, then you'll be okay for life. Christine Ayres says. Anthony Dilly, heating, water, everything. They want to open up the average man like Christmas, for fuck's sake. That's Dave. Are we going to see a general election by the end of the year? I have no idea anymore, Bridget. I really don't. It's crazy, isn't it? What's Alan Edge saying? He's dropped in a few comments there. If Gove's so keen to support NATO, why isn't he in Ukraine? Yeah. I'm sick to the back teeth of all that now. I don't know of anybody else, but I really am. And the longer it goes on, the more, finger pointery stuff ends up going on. It's crazy. Hi everyone, I'm glad to be here, but a bit behind, so watching on 125 speed to catch up. Hope everyone's having a good evening. Thanks, Matt Walton, good to see you there. Fern Wright, hello to you. Yeah, Gove would make a good ventriloquist dummy. I think you'd get more sense out of his spitting image puppet, wouldn't you, really? Wish mine didn't, attorney. If the co-op thinks I'm jumping on the bandwagon and supporting to buying a 10-pack of Ukrainian lager, they can think again, even if the bosses expect us floor staff to be seen to do that. Crazy, isn't it? Sharon Shooter, hello to you. Good to see you. Who's this? Anthony Dilly. My gas meter doesn't work since November. I've told them they don't seem bothered, so can't wait for them to try and bill me. It says naught. That's the kind of gas bill you want, isn't it? Jenny Williams. Everyone is doing all they can to save money, but this is beyond the individual. We need action from the government. Yeah. Grow some salad, plant some tatties, bake your own biscuits. Things are only going to get worse. I mean, they did all this during the wartime, didn't they? There was the underground stuff with food and everything going around everywhere. We survived before, we survive again. Tired of hearing people with desk jobs. They're working hard. Almost everybody. Yeah, we're all the same. We're all the same kind of opinions with this, aren't we? I mean, going back to what's going on with Parliament again, this came out as well, and this is an example of what a completely different world they live in to us. Let's see if I don't know if you recognize this guy. You can see he's a lefty because of all the red he's got there. He's dressed in. Well, his name is let's find it. His name is Liam Byrne or something like that. But here you go. Senior Labour MP suspended from the House of Commons for bullying a staff member. Oh dear, oh dear. Whatever next? It's not the first time we've heard this kind of thing either. A senior Labour MP has been suspended from the House of Commons for bullying. Ex-Cabinet Minister Byrne, I don't bloody know how you say it, was found to have ostracised former staff member David Barker between March 20 and the end of July 20. It followed a dispute between the two at the Birmingham Hodge Hill constituency office, which prompted the MP to send the complainant home. Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards Catherine Stone upheld a single allegation of bullying against Mr. Byrne, whatever his name is, following a complaint made under Parliament's Independent Complaints and Grievance Scheme. The independent expert panel said the MP for Birmingham Hodge Hill abused his position of power as well as ostracising the employee. He ceased personal contact with him for several months and would not let him get into his parliamentary IT account, thereby stopping him doing his work, I suppose. Mr. Byrne later said he was profoundly sorry and had apologised. On Wednesday evening, MPs approved a motion to suspend Mr. Byrne from the Commons on Thursday and Monday, May the 16th. His salary will also be withdrawn for 2 days, the motion adds. Oh dear, whatever is he to do? I'm sure with all the other bits and pieces, he's not going to be too fussed with that, is he? In a statement at the time, the MP, who served as Chief Secretary to the Treasury under Gordon Brown, God, that's going back some, isn't it, said, "I'm extremely grateful to the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards and to the independent expert panel for their thorough investigation and careful judgment." He added, 2 years ago at the beginning of lockdown, following a workplace dispute that led to me to send the complainant home, I did not resolve the dispute correctly with a proper disciplinary process, and having nevertheless extended the complaint's contract, thereby failed to fulfil my obligations as an employer and Parliament's behaviour code. This constituted an ostracism which was a breach of parliamentary behaviour, which I strongly support and cause distress, for which I'm profoundly sorry. Yeah, you got caught, didn't you? I've apologised in full to the individual concerned. I'm incredibly grateful to the panel for recognising the genuine remorse I felt about the impact on the individual concerned, the steps I've already taken to ensure this never happens again, along with the work still to do, and for concluding that I did not deliberately act to delay the investigation. So yet again, there's more bullshittery coming out of that place. You know, there's tittle-tattle, there's name-calling, there's bullying, there's God knows how many things. It's a wonder how they actually function. It's completely and utterly ridiculous. And, you know, we've got the current thing going on with Beergate, Capegate and Keir, and it's madness. I mean, this current crop of politicians that we've got, I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. And I am not being complimentary. It's absolutely crazy. But again, where does it go? Who steps in their places? We had a situation years ago, didn't we, where you had the Tory toffs on the right, all born with a silver spoon in their gob, not having an idea of real world existence, and then you had the left, you know, the working man, the working party, you know, the traditional left, you know, those that believed in workers' rights and everything else. I don't have a problem with any of those, but what it's morphed into, where you have an argument over whether a woman's got a penis or not, it's it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the whole place is crackers. I think Guy Fawkes had the right idea, to be honest. When it will change, if it will change, I think it would take a great deal of movement of a seismic nature to actually get that done. But let's have a quick shifty through and see what you've all got to say about it. Susan Morley, good to see you in the chat. I see your name being mentioned there. Labour never were in the working classes, Cosmic Wartoad says. Well, they appeared to want to be at the time. I mean, with my age, I only remember one Labour government, and that was the one that Blair actually, ended up with, and Gordon Brown finished. Uh, Kevin Massey, are we sure it's called bullying when it's Labour? Having food and drinking on camera apparently is a totally different thing to doing the same at home. You've got a good point. Got a good point. PJ Mosley, when I got my paper round, I needed all my paper money for my school meals too. Yeah, I think I earned about £12.50 a week on mine. That'd probably be called slave labour now, and I was grateful for it at the time. Uh, Andy, I think every time you swear, you ought to slam the cab door and shout Everard. I can see riots happening, Chrissy. I think there will be eventually. I think we've survived this long by the British stiff upper lip, haven't we? But, there's only so far we can take this, so far. Good evening, Andy and all. Declan Toomey, good to see you. Zeus Scott, hit the like and subscribe, please. Race to 100, thanks. Jody, hello to you, and thank you for correcting my spelling the other day on the video. Certain things I always have trouble with. What's the weather like in your area? It's been pouring and raining in Kent this afternoon, Kim says. Yeah, I drove up to Gatwick earlier, and it was kind of funny. We're all right down here, but it was raining afterwards. If I swap the camera around for a second, push the right button there. That's what I've got at the moment. You can see it's getting a bit murky outside, and you can see the raindrops on the window, and that's down the road there, and you've got the sea right down the bottom there, at the bottom of my hill. So you can see what the weather's doing. Not too pretty. It's getting a little bit on the dark side. That's it. That's my boat race back on the picture. There we go. We had heavy rain until 2 p.m. in North Wales. That's Alan. Bloodnose, Andy, let's go for a drive. Wish we could, especially in this thing. We should have surprise uprisings so that the politicians won't have time to flee to it. Yeah. It's going to come to that eventually, I feel, at some point. But we'll have to see what happens there. £12, my paper round money was £3.50. Oh my god. Yes, but it's all relative, isn't it? Shut that door. I think it's all relative. It's like that 103, 104-year-old I told you about yesterday who bought a house for 800 quid. It's all relative. Time relative, I suppose. I'm in Derby. It was heavy rain this morning, sunny and dry now. We're supposed to be getting a heat wave, and I don't know where the hell it's gone. When I get up, I drink a litre or 2 pints of water first thing. I have to take 3 tablets in the morning, and I down them with a litre of water. And at the moment, I'm trying to do 2 litres of water a day. I mean, I'm not drinking much of this stuff, if anything, really, unless it goes with vodka. But it's, part of what you come to expect with me, the old Coke. So here we go. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of storm flies around as well outside at the moment. So I do wonder whether we're going to get covered in rain overnight. We'll have to see. Yeah, okay, everybody. This is the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. Thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate you turning up as per usual. If you haven't done so already and you're of mind, please hit the like button, give the chat a thumbs up, get the algorithm talking about us. That's wonderful. If you haven't done so already and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. And if you have a look at the description underneath this chat or any of the other videos, we've got various other things in various other places that you can look at, where you can support the channel. Go and have a look here, there and everywhere, and give me a follow on social media. I appreciate that. So yeah, we're 85 likes and 100 watching, so we could do with a few more. Everyone talking about Ukraine when Islam is taking over everywhere. Yeah, Belfast, Mickey, it's a distraction, isn't it? I mean, you look at the dinghy diver situation, they're still coming over there en masse, and we're talking about immigrants from over there. It's a bloody fallacy, it really is. I lose the plot with it. Now it needs calling out, but then if you call it out and spend an awful lot of time on that, where are all the other news stories coming from? What are you going to find out from everywhere else? I mean, an example of gutter news here. We're all aware of this interview the other day with Susanna Reid and Boris on This Morning, where she sat down, tried her hardest to do a Piers Morgan impression, and failed miserably. It's just another one of those things. We're sick of it. We don't want to hear it. I mean, this article here, Susanna Reid's car crash, Boris Johnson interview on Good Morning Britain, hit with Ofcom complaints. I mean, there you go. Look at her, bloody hell. I mean, looks rather fiery there in that picture. I'm going to skewer you, Mr. Prime Minister. And she didn't half going for the kill, didn't she? Susanna Reid's headline-making Good Morning Britain interview with Boris Johnson has been hit by Ofcom complaints. It must be like the days of Piers Morgan, because every time that guy opened his mouth, they got a load of complaints in. The no-nonsense presenter grilled the Prime Minister for avoiding the ITV programme for almost 5 years. Didn't he hide in a fridge or something like that? And kicked off their chat by asking whether he is honest, quickly reminding us all we should never be underestimated. After introducing the leader, Susanna wasted no time in messing about and got straight to making him squirm. Well, thank you for being back with us. And it seems remarkable that before we get back into talking about Ukraine, so many people want to know, are you honest, Prime Minister? She asked. We know whether he's fucking honest or not, Susanna. We don't need you to sit there and try and influence our opinions and our thoughts. It's a null and void question. We know. We're not silly. We're waking up. Stumbling over his words, Mr. Johnson responded, I think the best way to judge that is to look at what the government says it's going to do and what it does. And that's what matters. Nicely swerved, Boris, nicely swerved. And she hits back, I just want a straight answer. You're an honest speaker, aren't you? Yes, and I do my best to represent faithfully and accurately what I believe, and sometimes it's controversial, and if it offends people, that's what I do, he replied. Oh, God, Jesus, that's painful trying to take him off, I tell you. Elsewhere in the chat, Mr. Johnson admitted the government could have been faster in helping refugees from Ukraine. What about us? I get called racist or something for that, but what about us? So far, 86,000 visas have been issued and 27,000 are already here. I want to say thank you, Boris says. 27,000 is a lot and it's growing fast, and I want to pay tribute to all those who are helping to look after the Ukrainians. He said, what is the fucking obsession with this? What is the obsession? It's blather. What about what we discussed at the beginning of this live chat? What are you going to do about that? You know, where's this magic money tree? You know, you're chucking millions at it. While many viewers praised Susanna for holding the Prime Minister to account, some complained the interview was an attempt to sway people's voting ahead of the local elections last week. This interview is a disgrace, one fumed, while tagging Ofcom, your bias is terrible, and you are not a balanced journalist, unacceptable. Lefties, basically, most of them, aren't they? Lefties. This isn't an interview by Good Morning Britain. It's Susanna Reid trying to sway people's voting on Thursday. Another wrote, sorry, but this needs to be looked at a much higher level. Like Ofcom, this is disgusting. It won't get past them. Television watchdog Ofcom has confirmed that 87 people complained about the Prime Minister's interview. 87's no good, Susanna. You can do better. I think your former colleague used to get it into 3 or 4 figures quite regularly. Mr. Johnson was last officially interviewed on the ITV Breakfast Show in 2017 when he was Foreign Secretary. Of course, some will remember how he fleetingly featured on the show in December 2019 when he appeared to hide in a fridge to avoid questions from Susanna and Piers. Okay, yes. I wasn't very in it. I didn't watch that interview. I took one look at it and I thought, what a bloody fit up. I really did. It's the same old all over again. The trying to hold the government to account in the name of journalism. You know, we want to pull out all the juiciness in the name of journalism, and I have to say, what's it going to achieve? Because unless you've been hiding in a fridge for the last 5 years, we've worked all this out, Susanna and all the other journalists. We know what's going on, and there's just no quality to any of this anymore. It's quite sad, really, but that it's come to that. I mean, when I remember back in the 80s, I suppose. I mean, I was a young child, but I remember you read the news. When I look at the news, I want to know what's going on. I want an unbiased basic report. If a bloody ferry capsizes like it did in 1986, I want to know about it. I don't want to know any political bias or internal company politics. I don't give two fucks. I just want to know, did it go over and were people okay? If the milkman didn't come and his firm went bust, I want to know that's all right. If a space shuttle blew up, I just want facts. I don't want bullshit, and that's all it is in the news. I've had enough of it, and I'm sure the rest of you have as well. I mean, that's why more and more people end up watching folks like me. They just, they just want normal talk, and that's why I sit down and try and pick out these things every day to try and bring you a little bit of, variety other than the usual. Yeah, Jody, sick of the sound of Boris's voice. We all are. Some say Biden's on the moon. Sean Sin says, yeah. Trouble is with him and his memory. He's probably trying to work out which moon and which planet orbiting what. It's nuts. It really is. Let's have another look through the chat and see what we got here. Stop the world, I want to get off. That's Angie Etheridge. Yeah, a lot of us feel like that sometimes. Real talker from a real person, Declan Toomey, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Where are all the photos of the shot down planes? Helen says, yeah. The other thing I get, I mean, I don't want to be too disparaging, shut that door about it, because YouTube get the arsehole, but when you see leaders going over there and bands performing over there and various other things, wouldn't you be worried about a rocket falling on your face? Nothing about that makes any sense anymore. It really doesn't. But we're, again, we're not stupid. Mark Keane, Boris and Keir both have to go. Yeah, well, hopefully one will go and take t'other with him. But I dread to think. PJ Mosley, I tend to agree with your assessment there. The real Pollyanna, good to see you. There's a lot of houses on the RAF base. The billeting's going to singles, but houses are being renovated for families. MOD not saying, nor is Home Office. That's interesting. The war zone's seen the number one holobob spot at the Mo for the rich. Yeah, it certainly does, doesn't it? All other seems to have extensive video footage. Yeah, we're seeing it. I mean, they're banking on an emotional response to all of it, aren't they? That's the main thing. 10% turnout. People are fed up with voting. Yeah, they are. I mean, I remember the coalition years ago when, there was a low turnout for the general election. Again, we were all pissed off with it. And then they decided that the message we sent them was that we sent a message we wanted something different. Well, we did, but not what we ended up with. The whole system's crap. Uh, Cucumber slices in a bottle of unfluoridated water is another method other than the sprig of mint in. Leaving mint in a bottle of water overnight helps weight loss, by the way, Andy. Oh, I didn't know that. Cheers, Zena. I appreciate it. I'm having a bit of a crisis of conscience at the moment. I walk around, and I look in the mirror, and it looks like one of those funny ones at the circus, the ones that make you seem wider than you actually are. I mean, I'm telling myself that just for sake. And you get on the scales and they say one at a time, please. I'm getting into that territory. It's not great. Listen, everybody, this is the daily chat with Andy, the Gabby Cabby. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you're okay this evening. If you haven't done so already, do this. Hit the thumbs up on the chat and, give us a bit of a boost up. We always like to get the likes up to 100, because that's when the YouTube algorithm starts getting a little bit tickled and getting everything around as you do. So that's wonderful. We're well over that tonight. If you haven't done so already and you're a new watcher, please consider subscribing as well to Andy the Gabby Cabby. That's wonderful. And have a look in the description and see what else you can do. Zena, oh my God, I wasn't hinting you need to lose weight. You're fine, Andy. Trust me, I'm not. I literally got on the scales and they did say one at a time. But trouble is with a taxi driver job, excuse me, it's how do you say it, sedentary job. You sat on your backside all day and it doesn't really help matters, so you have to have a change of diet and various other things. Now, the last story I want to bring you today, I thought this was amazing. Somebody mentioned shooting down of planes earlier. Well, I want to mention flying them. I haven't flown in a plane for donkey's years, let alone flown one. I have flown a plane before, but not for a long time. And this caught my eye. Moment passenger with no flying experience lands the plane after the pilot fell ill. I thought this was brilliant. I mean, you can see, get the picture up there. You can see the little Cessna thing sitting there in front of the big jet there. I wonder if there's any dinghy divers on there that I've sneaked across. Probably not. The human rights lawyers will be all over it. But there we go. Moment passenger with no flying experience lands plane after pilot fell ill. Flying can be scary for many people at the best of times. But imagine if your pilot ends up going unconscious mid-air. That's exactly what happened on a single-engine Cessna 208 in Palm Beach, Florida, forcing a passenger to land it. The passenger, who had no experience whatsoever of flying, managed to work out how to radio air traffic control, telling them, "I've got a bit of a problem." Dramatic audio of the passenger explaining the mid-flight dilemma was obtained by CNN. "My pilot has gone incoherent and I have no idea how to fly this plane," the unidentified passenger said over the radio. The private plane was carrying 2 people in addition to the pilot while making a trek over southern Florida. Following an apparent medical emergency involving the pilot, air traffic controllers instructed the passenger on how to safely land the aircraft. "Have you guys located me yet?" the passenger asked. "I can't even get my nav screen to turn on. It's all the information on it. You guys have any idea on that?" After locating the small airplane over Boca Raton, about 70 miles north of its final destination, air traffic controllers advised the passenger on how to land. "Try to hold the wings level and see if you can start descending for me. Push forward on the controls and descend at a very slow rate," the air traffic control can be heard telling the passenger. "Try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you." In additional audio taken from liveatc.net, a second air traffic controller can be heard telling other planes in the area about the situation. "You just witnessed a couple of passengers land that plane," the tower operator said to an American Airlines pilot waiting to take off. "Did you say passengers landed that airplane?" The pilot responded, "Oh my God, great job. Oh my God." Yeah, better get the accent right, a bit like Michael Gove there. In a statement, the Federal Aviation Administration Authority said there were 2 people aboard the private Cessna when the pilot had a possible medical issue. The current condition of the pilot is unknown and the FAA is investigating. Well done to them. Very brave thing to do. I've heard a couple of stories like that before. But there's a video floating around YouTube actually as well. Could a passenger land, I think 737, they badged it as, and they had someone talking them down. And I love stories like that. You know, people just save their own arse and get it done. It's really wonderful. But let's have a look through. Biden looks into the mirror and says, "What are you doing here?" Yeah, we used to have an old seagull that used to come and peck the back window where I worked, and you know, we worked out, it thought it was another seagull in the end. Biggest gift you can give yourself is self-acceptance. Rare Nebula. Yes, I accept I'm a fatty, morbidly obese, as somebody says, and I'm going to do something about it. I accept that. Watch this space. My cousin was a black cab driver and died in his sleep at 66. He didn't exercise and ate bad stuff. Real Pollyanna, that's exactly the way a lot of them go. It's not great. TL is AB on YouTube. Okay. Hi, Robert McNair. Oh my God, I've read articles about water companies caught with dangerous levels of something. It's not informing residents. Don't drink it, will you? I had a big bottle of water out of the fridge earlier at the garage. Very tasty. That's why I don't listen to Susanna Reid. Yes, we're getting it all here, aren't we? Please, guys, no swearing. There's too much going on tonight in here. And he wants to keep his channel. Thank you, Julie, for doing your job. I must admit, I haven't noticed that. More and more now in Northern Ireland, I've noticed over the past few years, they look lost when I see them. I don't blame them. They're being used. Yeah. That has to be a joke. My dad said he only wants fresh tap water. He won't drink bottled. You're not that fat, Belfast, Mickey says. Appreciate that. I have seen fatter, but it's how you feel at the end of the day. I've eaten quite healthily for the last 3 days, actually. Try a bit of keto and intermittent fasting. I tried a thing called the slow carb diet a while ago, and it was quite effective, but I found I couldn't stick to it. But I've gone back to, you know, karate and various other things, try and keep me in trim. That's the thing. Let's have a look, see if I missed anybody else. Belfast, I look forward to it. Excellent. Right, everybody, I think we're going to call it a day for now. Good to see everybody, and thank you very much for coming along. As I said, if you can please hit the like button if you haven't done so already on the chat, boost our numbers up just a tad. Please subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so and you're a newbie here. Appreciate that as well. We're heading in the right direction. I think we're 30,000 and something, but all good, really good. Tomorrow I'll get a few highlights and a bit of content out and everything there, and we'll be on with another live stream too. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and until tomorrow, toodaloo.